Welcome to Heald Law Academy, the place where you can quickly learn how to maximise the value of your businesses and safeguard your commercial and personal interests. I'm joined by David Dees, and today we're going to talk about protecting your best ideas and why it's technically impossible to protect them. David, let's start at looking at a typical scenario when someone's had a great idea and then somebody else has stolen it.
Well, I'm afraid that often there's not much that can be done at that stage. It's very difficult to protect an idea itself. Intellectual property law in the UK is about how the idea is expressed, and it might be through copyright law or patent law or trademark law or design right law. If the idea is expressed in a particular way, you may be able to protect it. But of course, a lot of the time, it is just an idea. And it may be that your idea is ahead of the market, and the practical advice is to get the idea in the market as quickly as possible before somebody steals it. But there is one thing that you can do in this situation, and that's protect it by means of confidentiality.
How do you do that? How do you protect it with confidentiality?
Well, by a confidentiality agreement. I had a client a few years ago who had invented something in the chemical field, and they never copyrighted it, they never trademarked it, they didn't do anything. They just kept it secret. If you like, it was a bit like a recipe, a bit like the recipe for a well-known fast food chicken manufacturer. And that's almost legendary, that example. But it's a good example, because if you keep it secret, it doesn't actually matter. If nobody knows about it, nobody can copy it. So the thing to do is to make sure everybody in your organisation knows that it's confidential, and you can make sure that their employment contracts have a strong confidentiality element to them.
Now, are these really strict? Because you mentioned like the chicken restaurant. Obviously, loads of people must be working for these big companies and eventually leave. So is it that they're not involving a lot of people in these confidentiality agreements, or people are just that stringent to them that they won't express
Well, often
afterwards?
only a small number of people in the organisation actually need to know what the recipe is in the example of a recipe. So part of it is about controlling that information within the organisation, and that's about the systems and processes at the business itself. For the individuals that do have access to the information, it's important that their contracts have appropriate confidentiality clauses in their contracts. The other scenario that I think we need to talk about is where other businesses want to deal with you, and often, for example, in a joint venture, you're actually sharing ideas.
Which can be risky.
It can be risky. You may need to share those ideas to get the business going. Again, a confidentiality agreement is a very good way of doing it.
And what sort of things typically in a confidentiality agreement would there be? You can't share this idea with other people. How much detail can it go into?
Complete secrecy. Complete secrecy about the nature of the idea, the detail of the idea, how you're going to implement it, even the fact that there is an idea, the fact that there is a joint venture afoot. You keep all of that secret, because often, because you can't protect it through intellectual property, it's speed that counts. You've got to get to market very, very quickly, and so secrecy is all important. It's a pretty good way of doing it.
And it sounds very simple to implement as well.
It is simple. You just need to make sure that when you're sharing ideas with other businesses or other investors, that you've thought about it at the very beginning, because once they know about it, you can't put the genie back in the bottle. It's too late. So you've got to make sure that they sign up before you give them the information.
And has there been any cases that have come to mind where people haven't implemented a confidentiality agreement and it's all gone wrong?
Lots and lots of examples, lots and lots of court cases have dealt with these situations. It's not the end of the world if you haven't done it, because in certain circumstances the court is prepared to say that the particular circumstances lead one to the conclusion that the information was actually secret, and that because of those circumstances the information shouldn't have been divulged. That's the worst scenario really, because you've got a court case. It's better to have the agreement. I'm not saying having an agreement would stop it, but it's an extra barrier, and they're much less likely to do it if they've signed up to it.
And can this be used for any industry, any idea? It doesn't have to be anything like extravagant. It can be something really small.
Yeah, you can use it for any business whatsoever. Any idea, any business proposal. If you want to keep it secret, then get a confidentiality agreement signed. It's very, very useful, very, very simple tool.
And do you get a lot of companies coming to protect something?
Of course, yeah. People come and see us and ask us what they can do. They may be starting out in a new business, they may be taking investment. And there's also a discussion, of course, about intellectual property. It might be something that can be protected with a trademark or copyright, depending on the circumstances. But often it will come down simply to keeping it secret for a while.
Now, what happens if there's two confidentiality agreements, separate ones, about the same idea?
With different people,
With
presumably.
different people.
Well, that's just tough. If people have thought of the same idea independently, there's nothing you can do about that.
Thanks, David. We hope you enjoyed today's discussion. If any of the issues mentioned are affecting your business right now, then simply call David on the number below and remember to subscribe to all of our videos, and we'll also send you news of seminars and other events where Heald Law Academy will be presenting. Bye for now.